So Disney is at it again, ruining Star Wars, ruining the Star Wars lore that we all know and love in order to push their woke agenda. This is getting to a point where I don't know how much more I can handle. I don't know how much longer I can stick around with Star Wars if they're going to keep going in this direction. Let's check it out. So everyone who's watching this channel, everyone who has been watching Star Wars or any of the other channels that are like mine been talking about this kind of thing, you already know that Star Wars has been going in a pretty bad direction in terms of the agenda that's being pushed. Star Wars has always had politics in it. Yes, that's always the argument that everyone uses that supports the agenda that's being pushed in Star Wars. But the thing about Star Wars politics back when George Lucas had Star Wars, and we all know this already, everyone who's watching this video already knows what I'm about to say, but the Star Wars politics that George Lucas had in his Star Wars is that they were timeless politics. None of them were current events. None of them were identity politics. None of them were politics that were happening in real time. It was always just Nazis bad, rebels good. The people who are rebelling against the Nazis, against the dictatorship, against the oppressors were the good people, and the people who were supporting the Nazis, supporting the dictatorships, were the bad people. That's a pretty universal concept. It's a pretty universally accepted concept that Nazis are bad. And if you don't think that Nazis are bad, then you're probably not the type of person that George Lucas wants to pander to anyway. The problem with today's Disney's agenda that they're pushing in Star Wars, that they're pushing in Marvel, that they're pushing in every single piece of content that comes out, and it's really unfortunate because Disney owns the two IPs that I love most. They own Marvel and Star Wars, and I love Marvel and Star Wars. It's my two favorite IPs in the world, and it's just really unfortunate that they happen to own them. But the really bad thing about the Disney agenda that they're pushing in today's Star Wars and today's Marvel is that it's not timeless. This stuff is not timeless at all. This stuff is going to come and go. And in 10, 20, 30 years, we're going to look back on this time, and either we're going to be so far woke that this is going to be the new normal, that all of this stuff in Star Wars today is just going to be the new normal, and I'm going to be completely miserable because we're going to be so far woke in 30 years that I'm not going to be able to consume any content because it's all just going to be agendas. Or we're going to look back in 30 years, which I think this is a more possible outcome. We're going to look back in 30 years and realize how absolutely ridiculous all the stuff that's being pushed in Marvel and Star Wars today is. And today, I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this already, but we're going to be talking about this right here. The Slave One, as it's called in canon, as you can see right here in canon Star Wars. The Slave One is Boba Fett's ship here on Wikipedia, or actually this is Star Wars fandom, but it's an excerpt from Wikipedia talking about Slave One, which is Boba Fett's ship, like I said. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that, right? But if we go to this Pirates and Princesses article, Disney is renaming Boba Fett's Slave One as Boba Fett's starship in Star Wars. I don't know how much more I can handle. This is just getting out. It's like they're just messing with us at this point. Like, do you really think the name Slave One for a ship is offensive? Do you not realize that slave is just a word in the dictionary? The ship is not a sentient being. It's not an actual slave, you idiots. Why are you changing the name from Slave One to Boba Fett's starship? And it's not just for the Lego toy. It's not just because this toy is for children. No, they go on to explain that later on in the article. That's not the case, because a lot of people on Reddit were saying, yeah, I wouldn't buy this for my kid either if it was called Slave One, which is absolutely absurd in the first place. But that's not why. This isn't just to market towards kids. They are changing the name of Boba Fett's ship. They proved that in this article. They proved that in the quote that's given. I'll show you in 1 second. But they're straight up changing Boba Fett's ship's name to Boba Fett's starship. They're changing Slave One to Boba Fett's starship. And to me and to you, this will always be Slave One. We'll never call it Boba Fett's starship, which, let's be real, the Disney, the Star Wars, the Marvel names, they're being so uncreative with their names. You think about the High Republic naming. You had, a ship called Vessel. You had a rock called Geode. You think about the Disney Plus show names. WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, Kenobi, Ahsoka. What the hell is up with these really, really creatively lacking names for all these shows, for all these characters, and now Boba Fett's starship? What is this stuff, man? It's getting to a point where I don't know how much longer I can stick around in Star Wars. I've always said that if they mess up this Kenobi show, I'm done. I cannot. Those are my characters. Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan and Hayden Christensen as Anakin/Darth Vader. That's what got me into Star Wars. Those are my favorite characters. That's my Star Wars. If you mess that up, it will be the equivalent to all the people who grew up on the original trilogy and saw their character, their guy, their hero, Luke Skywalker, get destroyed in the sequels. That'll be the equivalent to that. I won't be able to stick around anymore. But even if they do a great job on Kenobi and they continue going in this direction where they're changing Boba Fett's name, or Boba Fett's ship's name, to Boba Fett's starship from Slave One, you can't even have the word slave in a ship. I'm sure they'll change Slave Leia soon to Prisoners with Jobs Leia or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what the hell they're going to change Slave Leia to. That's going to be really weird. I guess Jabba's assistant Leia or some BS. I don't know, man. But this is just getting so out of hand that, like I said, I don't know how, a lot of us are going to stick around with Star Wars, because it seems like about a year ago, they had these rumors going around that they were going to get rid of this woke agenda, that Disney was purging their woke agenda within Star Wars and Marvel. They're going the complete opposite way. And I mean, once Kathleen Kennedy gets out of there, it might help a little bit, but I truly think that this is coming from the top. I don't even think this is coming from Kathleen. I don't even think this is coming from Lucasfilm at all. This is coming from the Disney higher ups. They're forcing them to do this stuff. I truly don't think that anyone at Lucasfilm cares about the Slave One, because I would assume that everyone at Lucasfilm would know that the Slave One is not referring to a sentient being. The Slave One is a ship. You idiots. Once again, you idiots. This is not a sentient being. It's literally a ship, and it's a cool ass name for a ship. But like I said, slavery is a very sensitive topic. I understand that. But the thing is, Disney does not actually care about getting rid of slavery in the world, because, they actively participate in having sweatshops. I'm sure the people who are making this toy right here, this very toy, the one that got changed from Slave One to Boba Fett Starship, will actually be sweatshop workers. I'm sure that'll be the case. And if it is, then that's just extremely hypocritical, and it should prove to everyone who is supporting these agenda that's being pushed by Disney, who thinks that Disney actually cares, that thinks that Star Wars actually cares about your cause, that they do not care about your cause. And I'll show you even more proof later on in the video that they don't care about your cause. But let's check out exactly what's happening to Boba Fett Starship, or I mean Slave One, which I refuse to ever call it Boba Fett Starship when I'm not being sarcastic. I will only refer to it as Slave One unless I'm trying to make fun of Disney Star Wars. But let's check out what is actually happening to it, because a lot of people, like I said, on Reddit, on Twitter, were saying that this isn't actually a real change of Boba Fett's ship's name. It's just because they're marketing the Lego toys to little kids, and they don't want little kids to have to buy toys called Slave One, because a lot of parents wouldn't buy their kids toys called Slave One, which is absolutely absurd. If you wouldn't buy your kid a Lego ship, because it's called Slave One, you're an idiot if that's the case. Likely part of Disney's continued diversity and inclusion initiatives, the Lego version of Boba Fett's iconic ship will drop the Slave One moniker and instead be referred to as its new name. This is at the request of Disney, according to Lego Star Wars design director Jens Kronvold and Lego Star Wars lead designer Michael Lee Stockwell. While Disney hasn't made a formal announcement of the internal name change, fans will note to change the name to Boba Fett Starship on an upcoming Lego playset from The Mandalorian. This was addressed casually during the Lego Fan Media Days event last month. And here is the actual quotes from the people that are making these Lego toys, that are making these name changes, or at least putting them into action, because we know that this is the Disney higher ups that are actually forcing these name changes onto these Lego designers. Let's check out what they had to say. Then the next one, also from The Mandalorian, is Boba Fett Starship, and then Michael says, yes, I built another. We're not calling it Slave One anymore. This is Boba Fett's Starship. Okay, why are we dropping the Slave One name? Everybody is. It's probably not something which has been announced publicly, but it is just something that Disney doesn't want to use anymore. This is absolutely insane. I honestly can't believe that I'm reading this. I can't believe that I woke up this morning and saw that Disney is dropping the Slave One name because it's too offensive. I guess they said earlier in this article, it's because of their diversity and inclusion initiatives. That doesn't even make any sense. Like I said, it's not like they're naming a person Slave. Like if they named a person, a sentient being, Slave One, that would be a little bit counterproductive for their diversity and inclusion initiative. But the fact that they named a ship Slave One doesn't affect their diversity and inclusion initiatives at all. Are we trying to be inclusive of ships now, of starships in Star Wars? It doesn't even make any sense anymore, man. None of this stuff makes any sense at all. And as you can see right here, here is the official Lego toy, the box for the toy, and it says Boba Fett Starship for ages 9 and up. Obviously, Legos are normally marketed towards kids, so I can see where that argument came from a little bit, but it's just not true. That's just truly not why they're changing the name. Like you said on this quote right here, why are we dropping the Slave One name? Everybody is. They're straight up, everybody is. It's not just Lego. It's not just to market to little kids. It's for all of Star Wars. They're dropping the Slave One name in Star Wars in general. And that's just really sad, man, because like I said, I don't know how much longer I can stick around with Star Wars doing this type of stuff, and they don't even care. They don't care about these causes that they claim to support. Look at this. Disney defends Mulan filming near internment camps in China. They're filming on internment camps. They don't care about slavery. They don't care about getting rid of slavery. They don't care about actually being sensitive towards these words. They don't care about actually getting rid of slavery in the world. They just want to make more money, and by taking the name slave out of their toys, they think that that's going to somehow make them more money, which doesn't make any sense, because anyone with a brain would buy the toy that they want to buy regardless of if the ship is called Slave One or not. Once again, you idiots. But also, like I showed you a little bit ago, Disney Factories faces probe into sweatshop suicide claims. Literally, the toy that they're changing the name from Slave One to Boba Fett Starship is going to be made by sweatshop workers. It's so hypocritical. The irony in this is absolutely absurd. Disney is ruining all the IPs that I love, and it's really sad. Like I said, I don't know how much longer I can stick around if they're going to keep going in this direction, but you guys can let me know what you think about this whole situation in the comments. Do you think that I'm making way too much of a big deal out of this or not? And do you think that Slave One will officially be called Boba Fett Starship going forward in Star Wars now? Do you think in the book of Boba Fett that Boba Fett will officially change the Slave One's name to Boba Fett Starship? Or do you think that this is just a Lego tactic to pander to kids, to try and market towards kids more so that their parents feel a little bit more comfortable buying this toy for their kids? Let me know what you think in the comments about this whole situation. But if you did enjoy the video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to follow me on Twitter or join the Discord, but those links will be in the description as well. Thank you for watching the video. Hope to see you in the next one.